Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Anecdotes with Alex, a podcast where Alex, aka me, shares a bunch of random stories and tidbits of advice or experiences. And I just share the lessons that I've learned the hard way with you so that you can learn them the easy way and so that you don't have to suffer criminally like I did. Um, anyways, actually, not anyways. It is a welcome back and a welcome back to me because it's my first episode back after a rather long hiatus because I was at JRTC and then on the railhead operation orders, and then I took a break, and then yesterday I finally went back to my regular work. So, yeah, it is a welcome back to all of us. Thank you for tuning in and thanks for waiting for me. Today's episode is going to be about everybody's favorite topic, burnout, baby. Burnout is a topic that kind of fascinates me because although I know exactly what it is, I somehow always end up falling back in the trap of it. And I've had two big, major, like true burnouts where my body's just like basically given out on me. And um, I just find it fascinating. And I also wish that I would have known about what burnout is and maybe just realize that like I wasn't alone because burnout is it's so easy to arrest. It's so easy to not to avoid burnout in the sense that like you can go anywhere and just Google it like how do I not burn out? Well, it'll tell you like, oh, maybe you should take some deep breaths, go on a walk, or go do anything relaxing, go take a yoga class. It's super easy, right? Like go do something you enjoy, go play games, go make a home cooked meal. It's so easy to avoid burnout. Getting proper rest, eating good meals, etc., etc. It's easy to avoid burnout in the sense that, or to recover from it or whatever. It's so easy. So easy not to be stressed. In an ideal world, okay? Not every one of us has the capacity or has learned the skills to just know how to unwind. Bitch, I don't know how to unwind at all. I'm still struggling with it. I am almost about to be 24 and I'm still learning how to just take a moment. Right? So I'll share my little story with you. I got back from JRTC like this first or like the 6th of August. It's almost 20 days ago now. And it was very stressful. It was a very stressful month. It was mentally one of the most stressful things that I've ever done. And while I was there, it wasn't terrible. Like I'm not gonna say it was sit here and be like, oh, it was terrible. I never had fun. No, it was like every military experience. If you're in the military, like it's not all bad, right? So it was all right, but it was incredibly stressful for me, just mentally and emotionally, having to be a platoon sergeant and fill roles that I've never had to fill before, that I don't know how to fill, and just kind of running around like, or feeling like I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And that was incredibly stressful. So I get back on the travel back. I feel a little bit off. Like I'm like, I can tell like I'm gonna get sick. And it's different because there's times where I get sick. Like I know myself rather well in the sense that I know if I'm getting sick because I've just been around a bunch of people and whatever. But I always know in my gut after every large stressful event, not even a large stressful event, just a stressful event in general, I I always get sick afterwards. I don't know why. It just That's like the way the cookie crumbles for me. Like after finals week, I always get super sick, right? If I had a stressful week at work, I'm going to get sick. This is the way it is for me, unfortunately. So, I started feeling sick on the way back. And I was kind of hoping that it was not what I thought it was going to be. But lo and behold, I get back. I have like one good day. I feel like garbage, but not bad. And then the next day, I wake up in tatters. Girls, I was in tatters. I felt like I had a fever. I was like shivering. I had aches. I was like, oh my God, it's Rona. I have COVID. And I did. And I had it for like almost a week, I want to say. I had to take a step back from the rail orders because I was feeling horrible. And I also don't want to get people sick. People have, families and whatever. So, yeah, it was really bad. And then I was just going through it mentally too. Like, you know, the entire week after JRTC, while I was sick, I was having nightmares and I was kind of waking up, in the middle of the night, basically in like a cold sweat, after having dreams of just how stressed I was and all this stuff and super, super, super disorienting. But I could tell that my body was trying to process the stress of it, right? My body was just dragging mentally, like I said, not doing well and not sleeping well too, because obviously I was having all these dreams and waking up, and turns out I was at home, thank God. But it was just a bunch of signs that for me, or craving like really gross foods too. Like I was just craving comfort foods. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was crying a lot. I was just venting a lot. And that's not bad. And none of us, this is bad because I was just going through it. But it was, again, the signs of burnout. Like you reached your limit, buddy. um, and my stress induced food allergies came back. I don't know what was going on, but my skin started rejecting the ink from my tattoos specifically, and so I was breaking out in hives, really specifically only on my tattoos. And it was just crazy because to me this is like my body basically just giving out on me, like, girl, I can't. Like, yeah, you're fighting yourself at this point. Um and that was really a breaking point because I hate feeling like that. And unfortunately, it's not the first time I've ever felt like this. In 2022, it's the first time that I experienced like a true breakdown due to burnout and stress and always being on the go and go and go. So back then in 2022, I was still working as a full time immigration and diversity liaison for the National Guard, in addition to trying to go to college, and in addition to still working my signal job as part time in the military as well. And obviously trying to balance my home life and take care of a dog and all that stuff and dealing with moving. It's a lot on my plate at the time as well. And that job really had no structure. It was kind of like on call for stuff, but then if you were working, it was like longer days and recruiting and travel and a lot of like people work. So it's a job where you're always on, right? It's like an unspoken rule that you're always going to be checking your emails. You're always checking your phone for texts, for calls, or something always comes up. Sometimes shit would come up at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right? And, you know, in hindsight, I should have just fucking ignored the calls and whatever and the text. But in the moment, and because I feel like I just have always been taught to take every opportunity that comes my way and being grateful, like I just would always pick up, or I would always answer the email or the phone calls that would come in that late and have my ringer on for some godforsaken reason. So that at one point that reached like that really pushed me to my limit because I started again getting sick all the time. I had COVID for like 12 days or something insane, like bedridden. I was going through it. Um, I would have nasty migraines. I started having again nightmares and like just bad dreams all the time. I was always in a horrible mood. I was always angry. I was just always bitter and resentful and snarky and no patience and just feeling like complete and utter garbage. You know, failing my classes in college because I just have no mental energy to do anything. And, I stopped working out because I'm like, oh God, I feel like garbage anyways. What's the point? And just a bunch of stuff, feeling horrible. And at some point, and also turning to like really bad habits like drinking alcohol, just kind of as a way to, I hate using this little cliche, but like to ease the edge, like it'll help me calm down a little bit. But that's not good. That's not good. I basically stopped every good habit and turned it into a bad one. And it was not healthy at all. And then doomsday came along. And that's when I developed food allergies, like food intolerances or whatever you want to call them. I suddenly had to be vegan for like almost a year, I want to say. It was horrible. Okay. I I'm a big bag. Okay, big bag, big bag. I like to eat and I like to eat everything. So when the convenience of that, and keep in mind my schedule's still very very busy with this job, with school, all the stuff I already mentioned. So now having to go through the learning curve and the expensive learning curve that going vegan is, it was just so mind-blowing, and that was legit rock bottom for me. Like that was when something was like it I don't like my light just switched off. It was bad. Like everything and anything I ate, I'd have hives everywhere, on my face, on my scalp, on my arms, on my legs, on my stomach. I was itchy all the time. The hives would just not stop. Sometimes even some of the vegan food would fuck me up. So it just was really bad. And keep in mind, like, the extent of my food sensitivities has always been just like maybe lactose intolerance. Maybe. And that's a risk I'm always willing to take. You know what I'm saying? Like salt and straw, I'm a pop a lactate and call it a day. Nothing's gonna stop me from getting my little lattes with regular milk. Okay? Well, until I discovered oat milk. But anyways, I like my regular milk. I like my cheese. I love dairy. So this was terrible for me. This was diva down. And then I realized that these can't have come from anywhere, like just nowhere, right? So I don't even remember much anymore from like how I decided that I was like, oh God, these are from like stress. Like this can happen to me because of stress. Because I went to the doctor, they said that like basically it was nothing. Bro, some doctors, especially this doctor that I went to, he told me that I should be grateful that these allergies have made me go vegan because it's a healthier way to live anyways. And he might be right, but he can kiss my fat ass because are you kidding me? Like when somebody's coming to you with a genuine health concern and they're kind of scared, that's probably not something you should say. You shouldn't say, "Oh, you should be thankful that this happened to you." That's crazy. That's bonkers. I'll never forget that man. He was terrible, honestly. Anyways, so at some point I decided that these are like stress induced because that was like the only very obvious answer. Like, what's going on with me? Stress all the time. So from then on, I kind of started to try and do things that relaxed me. I still to this day I'm still trying to learn because it is such I feel like I'm like addicted to stress, right? Because the only way I've always known is just to do more. Unwind by doing more. Add more to your plate. And I don't it's like uncomfortable to sit and and be still and have no stimulation. It's so hard for me. And it was even harder for me back then a couple years ago when this was like the first time I was experiencing any sort of real stress. Like, well, I've experienced stress before, but like, like I'm failing calculus kind of stress. Like this was like to the bone, I'm stressed. Like my body's giving out kind of stress. So, I think I tried, like, I bought yarn to try and knit or something, or crochet or whatever. That didn't work. I dropped that very quickly. Then I started painting again. That was really useful. Um, I tried to go back to exercising. Not definitely not as consistent as I could have been, but it was definitely something, better than nothing. Um, just I think I took up yeah, I took up reading. That was see, I found reading manga. I always say manga, manga, whatever. I found that so relaxing at the time. I bought the entire Jujutsu Kaisen like manga series or whatever, and I downed that. I went through that. But I found so much comfort in reading again. I was reading a lot of self help books too, like trying to just figure out how to cope and how to live better. Um, I also started going to therapy like a couple times. Then it got a little odd. Like I just was not. I feel like the therapist and I were not jiving very well. But yeah, so trying all that stuff. Then I tried doing like playing games with my boyfriend at the time. He had just gotten a VR. So that was a lot of fun. Just doing stuff like that. That just completely changed my, I guess, the way that I was seeing stress and coping with it. Um, I also really got into watching Gilmore Girls. That show brought me so much peace and just like it just kind of made it into like a nightly ritual. Um, I would get my little coffee on and I'd sit on the couch, with my pajamas and my dog, and I would just watch TV till I felt sleepy and I'd go to bed. And that was so unwinding for me. And I actually just started rewatching it too. It's just like a comfort show, and you never realize the value of having comfort things like comfort foods, comfort, you know, go to things that make you feel comforted and just good, because I don't know the value of that until I hit kind of rock bottom and I realized that I needed to have those things. So it's kind of nice to have that for yourself as a reference. Like, oh God, like here we go again. Let me try, my good old comfort show. Let's put some Gilmore Girls on and, mellow out for a little bit. So that's always something really good to have. But anyways, yeah, so I hit rock bottom then. And then I ended up quitting in the summer of 2022 because, so also, in addition to the crippling food sensitivities, I developed, like, I've always had kind of back pain since I was like 16, 17, probably just from sitting so much at school. Um, it got so bad working this job. So bad. I think it was due to all the driving and then like how much time it took up, and obviously like how busy I was in my own home life and school life, that I think it just, like, it was bad. I was hurting every day, when I was sleeping, when I would wake up, when I was walking. Like I had very little relief at any time. I had like restless legs and all this stuff that I just, it was so bad. Like, bro, I was what, 21, about to turn 22 at the time. There was no need for me to be, you know, feeling like that at that age. Like that, like you're basically a kid at that age. It's crazy. But yeah, anyways. And so fast forward to today, like I was saying, I kind of had like a little episode again, like a little burnout episode. My back started hurting again. My restless legs came back. Like I said, I started getting hives on like my tattoo areas. Um, Feeling emotional, and the nightmares came back, and being moody, and such a terrible thing, burnout. But I'm telling all of this to you so that you can learn and know, because I didn't even know that stress could mess you up this bad. Like, I didn't know that I would have food sensitivities due to stress. Like, I still have these food sensitivities. Like, I still can't have beef without bloat. And sometimes I'll still get a little bit of hives. Girls, I'm Mexican. I love tacos. I love my burritos. I like my carne asada. And so it's things that you never realize that you kind of take for granted. And then it's like, God, now every time I have tacos, I'm like, oh, Lord. Hopefully I don't get hives this time. So I'm telling you this so that you know that if you are not taking care of yourself and nourishing, this is mostly about nourishing your mind and your emotions and your like spirit your soul, it will catch up to you. It will 100% catch up to you, and it will reflect externally. You will be sick. You will, develop food allergies possibly. Like, you're gonna either like lose a bunch of weight or gain a bunch of weight. Like, it's gonna get to you, right? And you just take it seriously and develop good habits and good coping mechanisms. If exercise brings you some sort of calmness and stillness and lets you unwind, keep doing that. If it doesn't, maybe that's not the best thing to do when you're about to, hit a mental breakdown. If you like to read, if you like to go on walks, on runs, swims, whatever, if you have a comfort podcast or TV show or anything, and if you don't, actually I should be saying, if you don't have stuff like that you can fall back on, or a really good support system, or a pet or something that you can use almost as a crutch when you get to these really hard, stressful times, hopefully before burnout. But if you don't have these things, you need to develop those things. Learn with me here. I For this little burnout episode that I just had coming right off of JRTC, I bought Animal Crossing on our Nintendo Switch, and I was using that shit religiously every day until like 2 days ago, just because I was doing other things and I felt good and I didn't really even think about using it. But while I was feeling like garbage for like 15 days, it kept me moving. It kept me like I had something to look forward to for the next day, like keeping a streak of some sort with Animal Crossing. It also helped tremendously that I have my boyfriend to just vent to when I need to, right? So just making sure that you either have that good support system that you can talk to, or if you have a therapist, fantastic. Hopefully they don't let you get to this point. But yeah, you need to develop things. Invest in like a stress ball. I have a little stress brain that, I use still from time to time. Invest in a coloring book, in a little journal. Um, and yeah, so that's that. I'm telling you, you need to do it. For this last part, I, I guess I basically already said everything, but here are some things that I would do that I think have helped me either lessen my stress or at least get to the root of my stress so then I can make action upon it. One, journaling. It doesn't have to be 20 pages a day. There's days where I only write one sentence and I say, I feel like shit. Most of the time, though, you will just naturally, it'll just keep coming out of you. It'll just flow out, okay? Like, I wrote 2 sentences the other day, and then all of a sudden I wrote 2 pages. And it turns out I was like stressed and upset about things that I had that weren't even like I didn't even realize. I was really upset. Like, it really lets you get to the core of the issue. And that's something that the earlier you make the habit of journaling or keeping a diary or whatever you want to call it, I think the more it'll help you regulate those emotions. And if it's not helping you regulate so much, it'll at least help you identify the emotions you're having and why you're having them. So it's a lot easier to learn what your triggers are that are like triggering you to be stressed or, angry, etc., etc. The next thing I would do, like I just spent the last 5 minutes saying, is finding hobbies. Find hobbies that you will, that you stick to, that you really like. Try things, right? Like, I don't know, making videos, make your own podcast, baking, making food, mm, running, walking, exercising, freaking doing, like, making pottery, drawing, painting. I like to paint. I like to watercolor when I'm stressed too. Reading, hiking is a good one. Rock, like wall climbing, rock climbing, or whatever. You know, walking your dog, anything. Find a few hobbies that will help you get through things, that you can use as a crutch. Like the example I use of Animal Crossing, or even House Flipper. I also got into House Flipper around that time. Anything like that that will help you feel like back to your base level. Just have those emotional support hobbies. And shit, if you have a pet, make them your emotional support animal. That's what I did. The next thing is, don't isolate, okay? Because that's something that I feel like I do a lot when I'm stressed and I'm just not feeling my best. I isolate. I don't want to talk to anybody. I I just want to, like, withdraw. And that's really kind of out of character for me, because I'm not like a super extrovert. Like, I'm not going to go clubbing to talk to everybody, but I like to stay connected with people. And during that time, for like 2 years of working that job, I did not talk to any of my friends. I really just shut everybody out. And I was really like, I was like shutting for real everybody out. Um, and I was being so snarky that I was basically shutting out my boyfriend, right? So, and my dog and my parents. It just, I didn't, I wanted to hide. And that is so, it's really terrible. And I really wish I could give my old self a hug, because it feels so horrible, because it feels like nobody understands how stressed out and how just like low you're feeling. Because it's like in a sense, it's almost like also you feel ashamed and kind of guilty, because you're like, well, I took this job. I should be grateful for this job. I'm getting paid really well for this job. And nobody put a gun to my head to go take this job. And we tell ourselves that, and then we basically like justify the stress. Like, no, 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 this is worth it because of XYZ. Oh, no, no, no. I was asking for a good job just a little bit ago. And now that I got it, like, I'm not gonna, complain about it. No, bro. You have every right to complain and to feel exhausted and to feel stressed. And you, you know, you have the right to want to, you should be able to go hang out with people and feel, good about being in your community, and not isolating. So just whatever you do, try and keep at least a couple people still, within your reach. Don't completely isolate. It's one thing to retreat for a little bit and work on yourself, but it's another thing to completely isolate and push people out of your lives because you're aware that there's a problem, and yet you don't want to ask for help. So that's that. The next one is being healthy. I really didn't prioritize my sleep at all because of this job. I had no boundaries. I had no boundaries of saying like, no, I'm not doing that late. Or, no, I can't do that. Um, Obviously, like, this was like, I was working for the military, so it is a little bit different. But it, anybody and everybody should feel confident enough and like comfortable enough in their work environment to say, hey, I need a break. I need to stop, and I need to chill. And personally, I just did not feel like that. Um, or like I was able to do that. So just make sure you're advocating for yourself and taking care of yourself and taking breaks when you need them. And, you know, and with that, I want to also say, like, taking care of yourself, like I said, mentally, emotionally, and also physically, like eating well to the best of your abilities, right? um, Not giving in into like food as a source of comfort, um, like comfort eating, which kind of leads to like disordered eating, which that definitely fucked me up. um, and here I am like 40 pounds later, 40 more pounds heavier because I just used food as a crutch during stressful times, and that's not, you know, not healthy for anybody, because it's not like I was eating salads all day, right? I was eating pastries, I was eating processed foods, I was eating iced coffees from Dutch Bros every day and night, like twice a day. So just keep that in mind. I know it's hard that when you're so stressed and you feel so terrible, the last thing on your mind is trying to cook a good meal. But it definitely does help so that your body doesn't, like I said, give out on you like mine did. So that's that on that. The last thing I would add, actually, as like my final tip, is making a routine that works for you, and making, like, put it into perspective that work is not your entire day and your entire life. So scheduling in some rest, or scheduling some time to play a video game, or scheduling time to go to the gym, or scheduling time to spend with your significant other or your friends, schedule that shit in. If people or you are making yourself schedule 15,000 meetings a day, girl, you can schedule an hour to go get ice cream. Something. Like, you need, you have the power, so take the control of your life and make a routine, draw it out, post it up on a mirror or something. Take control of your life and make a routine, so that you can put it into perspective that your whole day and your whole life and your whole week should not be just your job or just school. I keep saying jobs because I feel like job burnout is the most prominent, but girls, college burnout, school burnout, it's just as bad. It's a beast. It's pretty nasty. So if you don't work but you're going to college full time or part time, or you don't have a job and you're like a stay at home mom, or you're just somebody trying to exist, it still applies. You can still get burnt out. You don't have to have a job to get burnt out. Okay, so that's really all I have for today. I just girls, we need to take care of ourselves. We can't have hot girl lives if we are constantly stressed and have food allergies that are induced by stress, and then constantly just half broken all the time, right? So hopefully you learned something from this. If not, I hope at least I entertained you, or did something that, I don't know, invoked a reaction out of you of some sort. But I really hope that you learned a little bit from this, and that this helps you realize that life should not always be a constant go, go, go. Go after it. Say yes to every single opportunity that comes your way. There are times and places to say, actually, I'm okay. I just want to rest. Or saying, yes, but after this project, I'm going to need a couple hours. Something, right? Life is not, it shouldn't be so fast, right? Like, life is already such a fleeting moment, and like, we literally don't even know when our last second on earth is going to be. So there's no reason for us to be emotionally fucking ourselves up over a job, over a school project, over anything, right? Like, there's more to life than our responsibilities, and it's not our job to constantly feel responsible for something or someone or anything, right? There's only so much we can do, and you need to realize those limits. And like I said, you need to take control of your own life and know what those boundaries are and start doing them. And I'm speaking with such authority right now, like I figured it out already. I haven't figured it out entirely. I've lived through these moments, and I know what I should do, but some of us have just made busyness and made stress part, like such an integral part of our lives, that it's so hard to detach. And just it's rough, and I really feel for you if you are feeling like you're in the same boat. So just remember that there's you And then there's your responsibilities. You are not your responsibilities. You are not your job. You are not your school. You are not all the things you need to be doing. You are a human being and you just need to be. Literally, you just need to be sometimes. So just remember that and take care of yourselves and stay alive. And I'll see you next time, okay? Don't die and separate yourself from your responsibilities. Okay, bye.